This conference will now be recorded.
If I could just remind any public in attendance to please mute your microphone, and public comment is at the end of the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. It's October 21st, 2020 at 7 p.m. Tonight's meeting is available on gotomeeting.com. You may log in from your computer, tablet, or smartphone at https://global.gotomeeting.com/join/472-199-829 or dial in at 312-757-3121 and the access code is 472-199-829. The cable upgrade or the cable channels are not available tonight due to the equipment upgrades in the cable in the council chambers as well as the courtroom. We apologize for any inconvenience, but the replay should be available on the YouTube channel on our website, hopefully tomorrow after it gets posted. You may email any questions that you have or comments to the Borough Clerk at lfernandez@hawthornenj.org. Roll call.
Bennett?
Here.
Leosa?
Here.
Lane?
Here.
Mealy?
Here.
Chiara?
Here.
Botecki?
Here.
Matthews?
Here.
Thank you.
Flag salute. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You guys with me? For which it
Yes.
stands one nation under God, indivisible. For which it stands one nation under God. Drew a blank. With liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that. Adequate notice this meeting has been provided by annual schedule. Regular meetings herefore adopted and posted on public bulletin board at the municipal building, emailed to the Hawthorne Press, the Herald News, the Record, the Gazette, and all persons who've requested the mailing of such schedule. The copy of said schedules remained on file with the office of the Borough Clerk from and since December 12, 2019. In accordance with the executive orders issued by Governor Murphy relating to COVID-19, the pandemic, this meeting will take place in a virtual setting on the GoToMeeting platform. Approval of the minutes. We have none for this evening. Public comment for agenda items. I'll now open the meeting to the public. Anyone who wants to be heard on agenda items, you may call in or chat in now at 312-757-3121, access code 472-199-829, or use the chat feature on our website. Any pre-submitted questions, Lori, on agenda items?
No, sir. No
Okay.
emails. And no
Well,
chat.
seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Witecki, second by Sierra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances, we have none this evening. Old business. Joe, we'll start your way.
Thank you. I was talking to, for those who don't know, we had the area of 1-1, had the gas lines all installed throughout Mohawk, North 14th area. So this is exactly where I'm going to be talking. The new resident moved into town. They did not have sewer systems. They did dig a trench that went from Mohawk, the center of Mohawk Avenue, and went down to their house, which I would assume is about 200 feet. When they did do that, they did dig up some newly paved road that was just completed on Thursday. They did the trench digging on Tuesday. And then I had asked where we were on this, and Eric said, Eric, do you want to just say what you said?
Sure. What I said is
did not do as good a job of coordinating as we probably could have. It's an unusual situation. It wasn't our paving, and I'm not sure how, to the degree our office staff knew that this was an area being paved by PSE&G, and so we basically missed the fact that this was newly paved. The long trench is on the side of the road that wasn't paved, but as Joe mentioned, it did cross there, very down near the end of where it was paved, maybe 6 or 8 feet from the end. It did cross that. The homeowner who did the trench or their contractor is responsible for restoration. The public works director had said they've only done temporary restoration, but they will have to do the permanent restoration, and we will follow that to make sure it's maintained well.
So to piggyback on that, the residents that are on all 4 corners that it hurts are very unhappy with the fact that they were very happy with the fact that their road got done, but they're very unhappy in the way it was handled, because at some point some of their cars weren't able to even pull out of their driveways, not only because we had just finished paving Mohawk, but because they were trenching North 14th Street. So as you can imagine, Mohawk Ave again looks pretty bad. So I had asked if there was something we could do, and I turned this to Dr. Boswell. I know we can't tell a resident who to utilize, but since Smith Sondy is parking their equipment on the corner right there, is there any way we could utilize the same company who did the initial restoration to do the completion restoration, so that it is whole at the end?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Joe, since it's a private matter, I'm not sure we can force them to use. Smith Sondy's a great paver, and I would wholeheartedly endorse them using it. I'm not sure that the borough, though, has the authority. I'll leave it to Michael to answer, to tell somebody a paver that they must use.
That is true.
The only reason I even make that suggestion is because, I don't think the asphalt was cold. The asphalt was still hot. It was Smith Sondy's asphalt, and here we are digging it up. And to say the least, the residents were very, very unhappy, and I totally understand why. And I bring that up under unfinished business because this did come up about 2 weeks ago. So we've been exchanging emails back and forth. Other than that,
Joe, we'll look into it, Joe, and see what we can do here. I mean, this is one of the few houses in the entire borough that was not hooked into a septic system, I believe, into a sewer. This had septic. So we corrected a problem here, and it's a difficult imposition to tell a private homeowner that they need to do something when in fact we didn't necessarily time it right. So we'll work on it.
2 weeks earlier, it would have been perfect. 2 weeks earlier, we could have dug the trench, laid the pipe, and then Smith Sondy could have repaved their trenches from the gas lines, and it would have been seamless, literally seamless.
Except most of the trenched area is not on the side that PSE&G was responsible for. It's on the other side of the center line. So the paving may have taken care of the one piece that crossed the PSE&G paving, but we could not have required PSE&G to pave the full length there because it wasn't that wasn't the area that they were responsible for.
I understood. I've always complained that we do work around town. PSE&G 2 weeks later rips up the road. Ironically, this time PSE&G does the road, and 2 days later, we have a resident who's ripping up the road.
Joe, just as a thought, Michael, if you chime in, do we have an ordinance that requires paving curb to curb if the road is cut in less than 2 or 5 years or something like that?
Yes, we have a moratorium for those areas that are cut within 3 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what's a moratorium
It's
is one
5
thing.
years.
I think it's 5 years.
It's
But
5 years. It's not a moratorium. It's a prohibition only to the extent that it's not necessary. This clearly was a necessary item of work. And then the question becomes, can you then compel a private homeowner to pave the street curb to curb? Again, I'll take a look at the ordinance, because this was designed, frankly, for a company like PSE&G.
Right.
We don't
Understood.
often get a private homeowner doing this, because this was about one of 6 or 7 septics in the whole town.
Good point.
Okay, Council President, the second thing I have is a stop line at Mazer and Chopin. Do we know if that has been?
I'm told by Public Works that was painted.
All right, because I see that all the other striping has been done. I have not been on Mazer, but I do see that throughout North 8th Street, Mohawk, Westervelt, that they have done the majority of the striping. But I thought PSE&G was doing that striping.
PSE&G would probably have to replace any striping that they took, but at Mazer Place, I'm told we put that in, and that was a couple weeks ago.
Thank you. That's all I have for old business, Council President.
Thank you, Joe. Mike?
I have nothing tonight, Frank. Thank you.
Raina?
Okay, I do have something, Council President. Just want to follow up with you, Eric. Have we got clarification about the CARES Act, about the ability to issue purchase orders, but we don't have the goods and materials in the borough so that we can allocate that money? It's basically accruing.
I'm told that it has to be done and paid for by the end of the year.
Okay, then that's going to be a little difficult then. It may be
On
difficult.
something, yeah.
Yeah, getting equipment. And also I want to thank you for the follow-up on the process for the tree hazard in the inventory.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's it, Council President.
Bruce?
Yes, Council President. I went down to Pan Chemical today to take a look at the progress that has been made. All of the buildings are gone. There's 2 large, looks like storage tanks, rusted storage tanks in the back of the property. 2 large piles of rubble left. What concerned me was there was nobody working and all of the heavy equipment is gone from the site. So do they intend to leave it that way with these 2 large piles of rubble and these storage tanks? Who would we contact to find out?
Our building department has issued the demolition permit, and they'll be the ones to follow up with it, and I'll have them do so.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, Council President.
Dominic?
I'm okay, Frank.
John?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Eric, we were supposed to be getting quarterly reports on finance. We haven't gotten any we haven't received any in, I think, at least 2 quarters. So can we at least have last quarters so we can review it?
I believe there was one last summer, and I know, and I just reviewed it with Lori Foley, and she has them ready. So if they should be to you very shortly, because she had produced them.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, is there, or Eric, is there any update with regard to the street parking in Premio? Is it a work in progress?
Nothing new to report. We understand that they're trying as hard as they can with the business there, though there's some talk that the business may have tried to use them for leverage. We're hoping that's not the case, but we're staying on top of it.
Okay, thank you. Also, Mayor, I'd like to thank you again for arranging for all the first responders in town for their flu shots this coming Friday between 5 and 7 at Town Hall. Thank you very much for that. Also, Eric, thank you very much for the paving on 4th Ave. PSE&G did a great job. Nobody had to dig anything up after they were finished, so it looks good. And is there, well, that's all I have, Frank. I'll bring it up when we come up to the ordinances. Thank you.
Okay. The only old business I had, Eric, was, has been any communication with the county regarding the one homeowner's request for that tree removal on Diamond Bridge Avenue? I know we had sent it to the county after our shade tree looked at it and gave a recommendation, but then it got sent over to the county, and I know the homeowner has emailed both of us a couple times.
We're going to be taking that tree down ourselves because we had been involved earlier, and our attorney believes that since we have some liability there, that we want to just take care of it. So it's going on the removal list, and the arborist has said it's not an emergency, so it'll go on the regular removal list, but it will be coming down in the next month or two.
Well, I know that the homeowner's concerned about the tripping hazard that he's trying to fix on the sidewalk while it's still seasonal for concrete work. That's the only concern he has. So if we wait until February to take it down and we can't pour concrete, he's concerned about his liability for the tripping hazard.
We'll see if we can expedite it, but normally
that's where the concern is coming from.
I mean, if we ask it for an emergency, we pay a premium for it, and if it's something that it's not deemed a hazard, then I'm not sure that's something we want to be doing, but we'll discuss it.
Have you communicated back with the homeowner to let him know so that we're not going to get further emails asking the status of it?
I will do so.
That's fine. That's off my plate then. Thank you. New business. John, we'll start with you on new business.
Okay, thank you. Eric, I've noticed this week from Grand Ave to Hawthorne Ave on Central, it seems like either PSE&G or someone has dug several holes going all the way up to Hawthorne Ave from Royal. The patching is a little bit left to be desired. We had a problem when they built the apartments on Fifth Avenue. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't, but I can try to find out.
Because it seems like the patching is starting to sink in.
Well, if it's temporary, that's going to happen, and usually we encourage people to wait a little while before they do permanent repairs, because there's usually going to be settling.
Well, if they compact it properly, there shouldn't be too much settling at all, and I don't think they compacted it, because I've never seen PSE&G with compactors. The other question that I have with the ordinance that we have tonight, 2261-20, have the residents been notified on that street?
Not to my knowledge.
Shouldn't we at least notify them that we're introducing this?
But there's no legal obligation to do it, but once we introduce it, it's a very short street, so I don't know why we couldn't give a notice to the residents to let them know if that's what the mayor wants to do.
Okay.
The signage, even though there's no ordinance behind it, there were 4 signs there. Now there are only 3. And one of the things that spurred this was one of those residents asked us to do something because because they wanted the restriction. So that doesn't mean they're all in favor of it. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to act on it. But I don't think, my guess is it's not going to be controversial, because there were always 4 signs there, and there will be 4 signs once we put the restriction, the legal restriction in place.
That's fine. My main question is just that they were notified that this is coming down eventually. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Dominic, any new business?
I'm okay.
Bruce, any new business?
No, sir, nothing for tonight.
Rena, any new business?
just following up about Cedar Place. So Eric, you said there's existing signs. Are those existing signs say not to park on either side?
Yes, there are 3 signs where there used to be 4. There are 2 on one side, 1 on the other. They all said no parking. People, I guess, followed them, but there was no underlying ordinance. One of the signs came down. People were obviously didn't have a sign to follow, and so they were parking there. One of the residents said, "Can't we get our signs back?" And so we had to
Okay, I
have to do
see.
the ordinance.
So now we're just going through the formality of legalizing that ordinance that no parking on either side. Do we know,
Right.
I know there's
Well-
Lieutenant Mark Mikowski here. Has the residents parked there, or has everyone been abiding by these signs?
The understanding is that there has been parking there, and that the parking there has been from people who do not live on the street, but perhaps are cutting through to complexes on the other side.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I was going to comment that if you go on that street, there really are no curbs. And for the most part, a lot of times people are not careful of not parking on somebody's driveway. And you can cut through one of the houses and you end up on Lafayette Ave. There are a couple of apartment complexes. You park at the end of the street. There's no parking sign there, whether it was removed or fell down in a storm. And people just are utilizing you, because really, if you went back there for years, it really wasn't fully paved. It's quasi paved. Am I correct, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's obvious, it's a unique street in how narrow it is. And well, I guess it's maybe not totally unique. This is Hawthorne. We have a lot of unique little streets. But this is an actual Hawthorne public street. You know, we're responsible for paving it, and we're responsible for restricting parking so we can get emergency vehicles in and out. And so that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
Anything else, Raina?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Mike, new business.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just wanted to mention that October is Domestic Violence Month. And unfortunately, because of COVID, the Divert team had to cancel the candlelight vigil this year. I recently did a public service video out into the community. The Divert team was nice enough to give me a tour of the safe room and kind of give me a rundown of what happens. I would encourage every council person to do the same thing if you haven't already. It's extremely eye-opening. You know, we certainly need to promote the Divert team and to help to stop domestic violence today. Thank you.
I'm wearing my purple tie today in honor of the Domestic Violence Month. Joseph.
Yes. I only have one piece of new business. A real quick question. The property 142, 148 Goffel Road, do they have their certificate of occupancy?
Which, give me the business.
What is that?
That's the business we're voting on this evening?
Oh, 142, you're talking about we're not voting on that this evening.
Was it pulled?
No, that's not what you're voting on this evening. This is a different liquor license altogether. The transferee is.
This is 1100.
Right. 142 owns the current license, but the license is going at 1100 Goffel.
All right. So the restaurant at 142 Goffel, do they have their certificate of occupancy?
They don't have a liquor license. We don't know about the CO.
My guess, Joe, is that would be a like for like, a restaurant for a restaurant.
It didn't come before the planning board because it's a like for like. However, the one that we're voting on tonight, like Mike said, is a new establishment at 1100 Goffel Road. And that's what the liquor license transfer is moving it to, that location.
All right. So I'm asking this for a specific reason, because last night I was driving down Goffle Road and there was a lot of things going on at this establishment. And next thing I understand that they're filming a commercial there. So I'd asked Eric if they had taken out, not a commercial, but a music video. So I'd asked Eric if they had taken out a permit for videoing or taking that of a movie. And he said that if it's done on private property, they don't need to have a permit for that to happen on private property. So then I'm asking the question because I don't remember seeing a certificate of occupancy issued for that establishment, which means that they did a video in an area that does not have an active certificate of occupancy.
I don't know that the video would have been precluded if the owner of the property permitted the filming. The issue is simply, do they have a CO so that they can operate a restaurant? And the answer is, I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
You mean I don't need a certificate of occupancy if I want to film in my...
The CO, Joe, would be to operate a restaurant. It's not a certificate of occupancy. If you own a vacant lot, you may not have a CO to occupy for any purpose, but you may film something on it.
I don't think I agree with that. But then again, lately, I don't think I've been agreeing with a lot of things you've been saying.
It's fine. I'm used to it by now.
Hold on, I did see another, is there another attorney in the audience? I do believe I see another attorney in the audience. Because
Yeah, but he wants something tonight, so he's not going to agree with you.
But you hear what I'm saying? I don't have to have approvals to do a video.
Right.
Why would you on
To have
private
a-
property?
Because you're utilizing that space for an unintended purpose. It doesn't even have a purpose yet. It's like for like, so that boggles my mind.
But you're making an
You're
assumption.
mixing the apples and oranges, though, because using the property for a restaurant requires a CO. Owning a piece of property and filming your kid at a birthday party, it doesn't require anything.
All right, Michael.
Agree to disagree at this moment, but
You
we'll get
can
you an answer.
disagree again, that's fine. You can ask Fred later what he thinks, and, Fred might agree with you now before you vote.
We'll get you the answer on the CO, though, Joe.
Thank you. You follow where I'm going, Council President?
I hear you talking.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
I have no new business this evening. So with that, we'll move to the administrative agenda presented by Mayor Goldberg.
Thank you, Council President. Just a reminder to you all that the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Anti-Bullying Month, and of course, Domestic Violence Month. Thank you to our Divert members for all they do in Hawthorne. We do not have a breast cancer awareness group or a bullying group, although I will get to that later in my report. This is the last weekend of the Farmers Weekend coming up, and I want to thank the Chamber, Rob and Meg, for working so hard this year to make the farmers market happen. It was a challenge, I know, with the restriction in place with COVID-19, but the Chamber and those mentioned did a great job in providing a service to the borough of Hawthorne and its residents. With respect to Halloween, I would direct you to visit the borough's website for the New Jersey Department of Health guidelines on safe trick-or-treating and holiday Halloween parties. We have this listed under the news feed and under a COVID button on the front page of www.hawthornenj.org. It's also posted on the borough's Facebook page. At this point, registered voters in town should have received their mail-in ballot from Passaic County Clerk. We have in the back of Borough Hall a ballot box from the county where you can drop your ballot in the box for delivery to the county. If for any reason you haven't received your ballot, please call Borough Clerk Lori at 973-427-4493. And I expect tomorrow Lori will be giving us a report on how many ballots have been turned in. I can tell you, I see people going to the box on a regular basis So it's been pretty busy. Next Wednesday, October 28th at 7 p.m., the Hawthorne Pride Alliance will be hosting a program on bullying. Jen Arentrout, Tyler Clemente's cousin, will be the speaker. This will air live on Facebook and will be broadcast on cable, Altice Channel 77, and Verizon Fios on Channel 28. Again, because of social distancing, we thought the best way to bring you this program would be through Facebook and our 2 borough channels. Just a reminder as well that the tax quarter starts November 1st and taxes are due. You have a 10-day grace period, so please make sure you pay your taxes within the grace period to avoid any interest. I'm looking forward to November. Please join us on Wednesday, November 11th at 11 a.m. in front of Borough Hall for our annual Veterans Day service. And at 1 p.m. that afternoon, please join us as we dedicate a portion of 3rd Avenue at Ray Avenue in memory of aviation machinist mate 3rd class Theodore Noonan, who was killed in action on June 26, 1945. This time I call upon my borough attorney, Michael Pasquale, for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things to follow up too. The farmers market was great. I was there just about every weekend. Great job to the chamber. Also Mike Sierra, who's there diligently every weekend, helping to support everything. So it was really a great effort, and I'll miss it. The divert also something that we ought to mention. By the way, I'm wearing pink, Frank, and not purple tonight because I'm wearing for breast cancer awareness. But our divert is known throughout the county as one of the finest groups. It's really a model throughout the county of Passaic for our response on domestic violence abuse. We have people who are exceptionally well-trained counselors who are dealing with the most difficult situations. So their volunteer work is phenomenal, and everybody wants to support the awareness that domestic violence is a true scourge for our community and throughout the state. We did settle our final tax appeal pending prior to the revaluation. I settled it a couple days ago, right before trial. This is with regard to a property, the Pleasurable Piercings property on Lafayette Avenue, owned by the Missinelli family. I'll be bringing to you a resolution for approval at the next meeting. Thanks to Tim Henderson and Bob McNerney, as always, for their excellent support. I think it was a very favorable outcome, and that is our last pending tax appeal prior to the revaluation. So we did a great job handling those. I do want to report on Brookside Avenue. I have now had multiple conversations with family members of the occupant of that property. I can only tell you, and I cannot go into a great deal of detail, but there will be legal action that will be starting to get that property sold. And that is our goal and our hope. And we will be working with the property owners to make sure that that property is sold and cleaned up. Apologies to everybody who has had to bear with that in the neighborhood, but we are working on it feverishly. The mayor, Eric, myself, are working with multiple family members to try to get this to happen. I do want to report on R120. Lori, do you want to do that, or you want me to do it? It's with regard to the liquor license transfer.
Oh, no, be my guest.
Thanks. Tonight, you're going to have R120 on your agenda. That is a liquor license transfer of a liquor license that's currently owned by 142 Goffel Road, LLC. This was an old 32 license. We have 33 licenses throughout town. Those are plenary retail consumption licenses. Those licenses allow you to operate a bar, restaurant, alcohol consumption on premises. 32s are old-fashioned licenses. They don't even make them anymore, but we have 3 in town, and they allow you to have a liquor store and a bar restaurant. So we have that at the Rumors Hawthorne Liquor Combination. We have it at the Diamond Liquor Diamond Pub. What was approved by the planning board last night was a liquor store only at the property at 1100 Goffel Road. It's currently Caprelli and Carpet. And the liquor store that will go in there will not have a bar component or a restaurant component. If there is any thought that they want to expand and include that, it comes back both to the planning board and to here, to this body, to amend the license. But all we are asking approval for tonight is approval of a liquor license transfer to, I see Rocio Antigua in the picture, and I did see her nephew somewhere in there also. They will be the proposed owners of this license if you approve it. Fred Roughgarden's here because he is their attorney, and I guess he's getting paid to be here. Good for you, Fred. But again, Lori went through everything. She's good. Matt Hoogmood, our lieutenant in the Detective Bureau, went through everything. He's good. I've gone through everything. I'm good. So the three of us can recommend approval to you tonight for the transfer of the license. And again, Rocio's here as well as her nephew, Isai, and they would be able to answer questions if members of the council had any. So again, that concludes my report, and I will see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Michael. Now the reason everybody tunes in, the report from Dr. Stephen Boswell.
I'm glad we all agree on that, Mayor. Thank you. The 2020 road improvement program, the paving of the Highview Circle in Cynthia is completed. The drainage improvements for Barker are being reconfigured. There were some utility conflicts there that we had to work around. And Garden Avenue will be paved in conjunction with Barker Avenue. The 2020 municipal aid road, which is Parmley Avenue, construction is completed. We've asked for a final inspection from the DOT, and we've requested core samples from Key-Tech. As you know, on DOT projects, there is a compaction penalty if it isn't properly compacted, so you have to do coring to prove the compaction. Hawthorne Library lighting improvements, we have still not seen an update to the state's website in terms of who's getting the money, and we ask continually every week. So as soon as we get it, we'll let you know. This is about the New Jersey State Library Construction Bond Act grants that we're looking for. The DPW trench drain is expected to be done this Saturday at the DPW building. The DPW is aware, and the trench drain is now, they were waiting for the part to come in. And finally, municipal building north section roof replacement. Pano Roofing gave us a revised quote of $29,900 to install a new TPO roof system over the municipal building's northern section, and provided a cost of $4,400 to address the police sally port. We've asked for additional quotes from JP Patty and from Hegeman Roofing, and we're getting those to Eric. And other than that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Steve. And now from somewhere out west of Hawthorne, Eric Maurer for his report.
The report that no one tunes in for. So, the work to upgrade the railroad crossing on Diamond Bridge Avenue that I reported at the last meeting has been postponed by New Jersey DOT and the New York Susquehanna and Western Railroad. We don't have a new date set as of now. Signs for the truck restrictions on the numbered avenues have all been installed. I've yet to receive the written offer. I was expecting from another municipality to purchase Old Tower 2. I now expect it in time to have a resolution for this sale on the November 3rd agenda. We continue to issue summonses to Hawthorne Auto Sales LLC and also to the moving business at 199 Goffel Road for their ongoing violations. Work on our second floor renovations is nearing completion. Wiring for the new phone system is underway in order to be in place for the arrival of the new voice over IP phone system. At last week's monthly meeting of the Morris County Joint Insurance Fund, of which Hawthorne is a member and I'm the borough's representative, we introduced a budget for 2021 with less than a 2% increase. Hawthorne's increase, or any individual municipality's increase, can be slightly more or less than that, depending on the factors that go into their individual rates. But that's good news for next year's budget. The State Health Benefits Plan is conducting its annual open enrollment during the month of October. The rate increase for next year's premiums is 2.5%, which still leaves us well below the rates that we and our employees were paying before joining the State Health Benefits Program this year. The lease for the small parcel of Gophelbrook Park, which the County of Passaic is giving to us, has finally been approved by Green Acres. We hope to have that signed with the Boys and Girls Club and to the state and county, and the county will move forward with the transfer of that parcel to the borough. The tax office has set our annual tax sale for November 19th for liens on unpaid 2019 taxes and water bills. This is a little later than usual due to the COVID-19 situation. And at the next council meeting, the administration will make the required presentation of this year's best practices inventory. A quick preview: as usual, our responses will not cause the borough to lose any state aid for the year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Eric. Council President will be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for the administration?
Frank,
Dominic?
Rich, on the ceremony for 11/11, what's the protocol for people to attend?
Last year we asked people not to come. This year, with the new amounts that were allowed outside in public, shouldn't be an issue. Anybody who wants to come should be able to come.
Good.
Any other questions?
Yes, just one.
Go.
Eric or Lieutenant Mark Mikowski, so I see he's here. So I had brought up multiple times about the street sweeper. I continually, as I go, I hear the mayor saying it right now, so change my route. I'm not going to change my running route. I still see cars parked overnight in the 2-hour zones along Lafayette Avenue. I see cars parked along McKinley, Warren. It continues to be an issue. I'd like to know for, let's say, 2 weeks, I'd like to know how many parking summonses we're issuing so that we can do adequate street sweeping throughout the communities, because we continue. I know I receive them. I know Frank receives them. I know Mayor Goldberg receives complaints. And the homeowner was on the last council meeting stating that, the street sweeper's going up and down the street, but they can't do the adequate street sweeping because the cars are in the way. I was told that we're going to do there's a new sheriff in town and that there was going to be enforcement. Well, I could tell you that the cars are still parked and the street sweeping cannot be done because they're there. So I'm asking if I could have a total number of parking summonses that are issued for the last 2 weeks, if I could have that.
We'll get your report.
Well, specifically,
much.
last meeting, there was a resident talking about McKinley Arms, and that was a bone of contention for the street sweeper. Has anything changed over there, and were we able to get the street sweeper through there?
Look, I'll tell you, the police station is located at Warburton and Lafayette Ave. On the corner of Warburton and Lafayette Ave, on the south side, there's 2 cars parked overnight in the 2-hour lot every night, and nobody issues them a summons. You can't tell me that nobody passed that area.
Well, the 2-hour, I know the intention is to get turnover for businesses in that area. I'm not sure what the ordinance actually says, but the purpose of that is to get turnover for parking for the businesses, not to prevent overnight parking. So, but I'll have to look at what the ordinance says.
Eric, you can't street sweep. We had our street sweeper go up Lafayette Ave today. On Tuesdays now, you have the street sweeper from the county going up. They used to go up Friday. They can't street the sweep. Oh boy, that's a tongue twister. They can't sweep. They can't sweep the streets if the cars are in the way.
And obviously, I have to look at what the ordinance says.
That's not what you said
Review it
last
with the
week.
police.
All right. I have nothing else.
Anyone else have any questions? Anything else, Mayor?
No, that concludes the report of the administration.
Okay.
Make a motion, we accept.
Okay, there's a question on the chat, but you have to wait until the public portion for that one. So we'll get to you during the public portion. There's a motion by
Lane.
Lane,
Second.
second by Sierra. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. We have introduction of ordinances. We have bond ordinance 2259-20, providing for the acquisition of fire department capital equipment, specifically a fire engine in and by the borough of Hawthorne in the county of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $760,000, therefore, and authorizing issuance of bonds or notes in the borough for the amount of $722,000 for the financing of the same. Be resolved, this ordinance does now pass a first reading, and said ordinance be further considered for final passage at the meeting of the governing body in the municipal building 445 Lafayette Avenue, or by virtual meeting on November 16, 2020. And at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. The clerk is hereby authorized and directed to be published in the said ordinance in the record once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with its notice of introduction of time and place, when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Have a motion.
So move.
Second,
Second.
Motion by Mealy, second by Bennett. Any discussion? This is for the replacement of fire engine number 4. They're in the beginning stages of appropriating funding for that purchase, so we're doing it now so that we do it before the end of the year when funding gets frozen. So this is to get the bonding in place, but obviously a purchase order and contract will be done at a
Later
date
date.
later. Roll call.
Council
Wojciechowski?
President, I just have a
I'm sorry,
comment.
man. Yes.
Statement.
I just want to follow up on this ordinance as being part of the finance committee chair, the committee. So just this fire truck was put into next year's capital budget. This was part of our 5-year planning. So we're going to make the purchase, put the order in this year ahead of time because there is a cost savings of us ordering it this year instead of next year because the price of the fire truck is going up. So I just want to be clear about this, that for council and for the public, that this was on the list from the fire department and it was part of the capital budget going forward, and that we're putting it in this year because of the consequences of the cost increase next year. So this was allocated money for this fire truck. And I don't
Just for
have any
clarity,
issues.
are we buying a
Engine.
fire truck or a fire engine?
Engine.
Oh, sorry, fire
Engine.
Okay.
Don't be a wise guy, Joe. She's new.
I'll
Council
explain the
President, just to
difference
add a
to
little
her.
something. Council President,
Yes.
some additional information is that it also offsets the additional cost right now for the apparatus that we currently have to maintain it. There was a substantial cost savings. There's a cost this year and future years that are going to be needed. So purchasing the new apparatus is beneficial in the long term.
That is correct. And if you really wanted Eric to bore the heck out of you, he could tell you when we sell our bond
No.
anticipation notes and all that, there's not a big difference between our bonding cycle between this year and next year. And it's going to take a year to get the engine anyway. So
2
whether
years.
you allocate the funding this year or next year, it's going to hit our budget bonding and indebtedness the same as it would if we did it in the next calendar year. But I saved you a lot of time there, Eric, or I should say I saved us
I
a
have
lot
a
of time
brief
explaining it
three-page
for you.
report on that topic that I can read if you would like. No?
I just cut 15 minutes off the meeting.
We vote, Frank.
Dominic's a little impatient, so any other questions?
No.
Okay. Roll call.
Watecki.
Abstain.
Thank you. Skiara,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Lane,
Abstain.
Leosa,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance number 2260-20 to amend the chapter 298 of the Code of the Borough of Hawthorne, laundries, section 295, hours of operation, so as to allow for Sunday operation. Be it resolved that this ordinance is now past the first reading, and said ordinance be further considered for final passage for a meeting of the governing body of the Municipal Building, 445 Lafayette Avenue, or by virtual meeting on November 16, 2020. At said time and place, all persons will be interested, given an opportunity to be said, heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish in the record once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction and time and place when and where said ordinance will be considered for final passage. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Watecki, second by Sierra, and this is to allow laundromats to be open on Sundays. On our code book, it never really allowed them to be open on Sundays, so this is to let them be open on Sundays. So I don't think there's going to be anybody with objections, but any discussion?
No, I figure we don't do parking, so we don't do parking
Well, that-
summonses.
Well, now you can park on Lafayette Ave for 2 hours while you do your laundry on Sunday,
Thank you, Frank. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
but you can't wait for a big comforter because that might take a little bit longer than 2 hours, so you better do little stuff.
Now you're thinking. Thank you, Council President. That's why you're the Council President.
It's that quick wit. Roll call
Or half-wit, depending on your perspective.
or dim wit.
Okay, roll call. Bennett,
Yes.
Leosa,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Kiara,
Yes.
Watecki,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance number 2261-20, an ordinance to further amend and supplement Chapter 505, Article 3, Section 505-18, parking prohibited at all times, Schedule 8 of the Code of the Borough of Hawthorne, so as to add thereto certain additional locations. Be it resolved, this ordinance does now pass the first reading, and said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body in the Municipal Building, 445 Lafayette Avenue, or by virtual meeting on November 16, 2020. At said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to be published in the ordinance in the record once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with the notice of its introduction, time and place, when and where said ordinance will be considered for final passage. Can I have a motion?
I'll move.
So moved.
Motion by Bennett, second by Watecki.
Watecki.
Any discussion? This is
Does
for
anyone else see the irony in that?
This is obviously for the Cedar Lane, or Cedar Place restricted parking that's currently has signage, but no reinforcement as far as legislation to back it up. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Yes.
Watecki, Skiara,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Leosa,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions, we have consent
I'm
agenda.
sorry, Council President. I'm
Yes.
sorry, would you mind looking at the chat? Because it looks like Kim, she has a question regarding the ordinance. If you don't mind, thank you.
Oh, I did
Yeah,
not, I did not see that.
Problem is, though, it's only the introduction of the ordinance, not a public hearing on the ordinance. So there's no public comment until the hearing next meeting, or 16th.
That answers my
Yeah.
question. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Great.
Consent agenda R 116-20 through R 120-20. R 116-20 is the clothing allowance for eligible ambulance corps members. R 117-20 is Chapter 159 budget insertion, drive sober or get pulled over. R 118-20 is Chapter 159 budget insertion, alcohol education and rehab grant. R 119-20 is Chapter 159 budget insertion, clean communities grant. And R 120-20 is the approved the liquor license transfer. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Motion by Mealy, second by Sierra. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Bennett,
Yes.
Leosa,
Yes.
Lane,
Abstain on R 116-20, yes on all others.
Mealy,
Yes on all of them.
Chiara,
Yes.
Wojcicki,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Reports of special council committees. Joe, we'll start your way.
I'm sorry, we had no council committee meetings, so I have no report. Next Shade Tree Commission meeting is November 2nd.
Mike.
Thank you, Council President. The next library board meeting will be on November 10th at 4:30. And they had a Board of Ed meeting last night. They talked about some things that they're amping up for their next phase related to COVID learning process, where they're purchasing some desk shields for every student, and also some air purification systems were ordered, and they'll be installed as soon as they receive them. And then that parents and families will be able to make a decision whether they want to continue with the hybrid learning or go to remote or vice versa. They can switch it up. They'll be able to make that change shortly. The next Board of Ed meeting is on November 17th. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Raina.
Thank you. Just want to thank everyone who came out this Saturday for the Environmental Commission and Green Team in the Borough of Hawthorne, helping the Hawthorne Bee defeat litter. We were out there with the bee walking around. 20 participants came to pick up their hand grabbers, gloves, and bags. People actually did send us information and photos, so we've posted them on our Facebook page and through email. So we'll be reviewing them and selecting a winner for that, for the most unusual number of bags or interesting item. It was really good. We had a good time. Mayor, we did speak to some of the businesses. We pulled 2 of the businesses out and took live video, but I do want to let people know that we had a resident who was very upset about the Walgreens front on Lafayette Ave, and she was cleaning up, and the bee and I were there. We had a conversation with the manager to inform her that, it's really your responsibility to pick up the litter and that we're out here, because she's like, we're on camera. I said, oh, good, we're on camera, so let's go on in. So we had a good conversation, a lot of good feedback. Everyone was really into it. So we'll definitely do that again, and you might see the bee out another weekend, so you'll never know. But it was a really great effort between the commission, the Green Team, and the Borough of Hawthorne. So thank you. And that's it, Council President.
Okay. Bruce.
Nothing to report at this point, sir.
Dominic.
Let me see now. Our committee on public safety met with members of Number 4's fire company. They showed us the new specs of the new engine. We talked about it, and it will probably be passed. They won't receive an engine probably for at least a year and a half. And by that time, their engine will be like almost 17 years old. There is some minor, some discrepancies in the engine that they're going to hold off on fixing, but it's definitely, we need a new engine for them. And I guess we're saving 5% now, Eric, if we do it this year. So anyway, that's what we did, and we approved
That's
it
an
and
estimate.
approved the bond today. So that's what we're doing. And that's it. Thank you, Frank.
John?
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I have to apologize to the residents as far as channel 77 and 28. One of the problems that arose was the new wiring that we had installed. There was more wiring to be installed than what they anticipated. There was no additional cost for us, but it just took a lot more time to get it all installed and hooked up. Right now, we're in the testing phase and the learning phase, and the people, our employees, are getting trained on how to use it. That's for social media and cable TV. For the ordinance committee, we had a meeting and we discussed several items pertaining to the borough. Several of them were on the agenda for tonight, which was Cedar Lane, the laundromat, and we also discussed pertaining to speeding on Ray Ave Extension. We're still studying that. We're getting different reports. No, I shouldn't say different. We're getting a report from the police department with their recommendations, and then we'll move forward. And we also discussed the laundromat to change the wording in the ordinance so it's basically legal. We also talked about the stop sign on 2nd Ave and Florence, which I think will be moving forward with an ordinance change on that. And basically, that's it, Mr. President.
You got it. And as far as my committee, last night the planning board met and we filled 3 empty storefronts with new businesses. We have a hair salon moving into the judo studio, a personal trainer and gym moving into the karate studio, and the empty dance studio is getting a doggy daycare that's relocating from Goffle Road over to Lafayette Ave now. So it was good to see that 3 storefronts are now being filled and keeping Hawthorne being revitalized. The mayor gave my chamber report, but that's okay. We got one more weekend of coming down to the chamber to get your fruits and vegetables. So get it while it lasts. And we look forward to coming back next year. And thank you for your support is a continued response that the chamber would like to ask everyone or convey to everyone. Bills or correspondence. We have no correspondence, but we do have bills. Can I have a motion to approve the bills and forward them to the treasurer for payment?
So move.
Motion by Mealy, second by Sierra. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Wotecki,
Abstain on the fire department, yes on all others.
thank you. Skiara,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Lane,
Abstain on the ambulance corps and the fire department, yes on all others.
Leosa,
Abstain on PSCG and approve all the rest of the bills. Thank you.
thank you. Bennett,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
motion carries.
Public comment.
Council President,
Council President, can I interrupt for 1 second, please, before you go there? We have the people who were approved for the liquor license transfer tonight on, and I neglected to ask if members of the council had questions. I know we gave a little presentation, and perhaps they want to introduce themselves also because they have done good things in town already, but they want to do more. So I only asked you, Council President, if you would indulge that.
Sure.
Rocio, are you there? You popped on a minute ago.
Okay, yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Rosie.
I don't know if everybody knows Rocio. Rocio Antigua is, many of you know Manny. This is his better half by far. Not even like a close contest. and her nephew Isai is on as well. And again, I think they're going to do great things in town, but I wanted them to at least be able to say hello to everyone in the meeting and on the council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rocio Antigua, as Michael presented, and I'll be the president of the corporation, if you approve it, of course.
Well, we already did, and we wish you luck in your new location and much
Thanks.
success like you have, and you'll do very good things like you have in the first location.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is great. Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you, Council President. I appreciate it.
Anytime. You're more than welcome to stay with our meeting and listen to the rest of it, or you can tune out now if you don't want to listen to the rest.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Frank, I did have a question on bills that are not there, and I'm just curious what the plan is moving forward for petroleum products for the town vehicles now that I see the gas station is being demolished. What are they doing moving forward for that?
Which vendor we're using?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
bills.
early this year, we approved, as a result of a bid, going to the Exxon station on Goffel Road. So that's where we're going.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Public comment. Now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please call in now at 312-757-3121, access code 472-199-829, or you may email the clerk at lfernandez@hawthornenj.org, or utilize the chat feature if you're on here. And we already have questions from Kim. Kim, you're on first.
I think there might have been somebody ahead of me.
Okay, Ms. Almetti. I think it was regarding one of the subjects we were talking about earlier, but Ms. Almetti?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Kim, and thank you, Council, for your work. And Mayor, thank you for what you've been doing for DNI in town. The question has to do with the Black Lives, Blue Lives viewing that was recently hosted by candidate for BOE, Kevin Bergen. I do know that the council was invited. I do know that the mayor was also invited, and I was looking forward to seeing some of you in attendance, but unfortunately nobody was there from the council, nor was the mayor there. And I remember, I mean, we've been doing really well. We've had Black Lives Matter, we have the Pride Alliance. I think we're doing a lot in Hawthorne, and a lot of people are happy to see this. But I remember a while back there was some event I wasn't able to attend. I think the Democrats were hosting something having to do with LGBTQ plus. And you were asked, Mayor Goldberg, why you were not in attendance, and your response had been that had you been invited, you would have been there gladly, and that all one had to do was ask you and invite you, and you'd be gladly attending any of these sorts of meetings or gatherings. Now, I agreed, and I thought it was wonderful when we did the Black Lives Matter march. You were there and you spoke, and I was expecting you to actually check out the Black Lives, Blue Lives, because I did speak to you along with Craig Cayetano and Melissa Lambert, and you sounded very open to the idea at the time. So my question is, was there any particular reason why nobody wanted to attend? Or do we not think it's important for Hawthorne to actually hear out both sides? Because this was a presentation from Black Lives, a Black man, and from a police officer. So you got both sides of the story, and I think that's very important right now. I mean, not just in Hawthorne, but everywhere. So, I mean, I'd like to know.
Yeah, I had a conflict, very frankly. I was also a little disappointed that I spent 45 minutes meeting with Kevin, and then he did something without telling us, so that may have been part of the reaction as well. But once in a while, we have conflicts, and I had a conflict then.
Well, I have just my last question, I guess, for tonight is there are future viewings that are scheduled. Would anybody on the council or the mayor himself actually be interested? This is not Kevin presenting this. You know, he's not any of the actors. He was hosting. So would anyone be interested in watching a future viewing?
I think, again, it depends whether it fits in people's schedules, because I think this one was on a Saturday night, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember. I got to be honest. My schedule
Yeah,
is
I
blurry.
don't remember either. I'm just trying to use my memory. So a lot of times, you know, we use the weekends for family time when we can. But if it comes up at a time that I'm available, I will certainly listen to the presentation.
Anyone from the council willing to attend the presentation?
I would have to agree with the mayor. It just depends on the time and when. I don't know what day of what date it was, but I recall it was a conflict that had something to do with, I think my daughter was moving out that day. I was helping her. It was a Saturday, Craig says.
Okay. Oh well, I'll try to forward that information when the next viewing comes up, and hopefully we'll all see each other there. Thank you.
If I can make a suggestion, if you could make them more virtual, I promise you I will make every attempt to attend. I do limit myself greatly for in public right now. I do thank Council President for continue having our meetings on the GoToMeeting platform. And if it is held on a virtual platform, I promise you I will make every attempt to be there. But I apologize. I did have a conflict myself on Saturday night. It is very hard on a Saturday night, you know, when you work Monday through Friday without having. I learned about it very shortly. I think I learned about it on Facebook, but I'm not going to make excuses. I was unable to attend, like I had a conflict, but I will try every attempt to make sure that I'm there if it is virtual.
I do appreciate that, folks. And it was a Zoom meeting, so it is virtual, and hopefully the next viewing will be able to attend. Thank you.
Fair enough. Okay, Kim.
Hey, so I had two questions, one kind of question, comment, and then just a question. So the first one of my neighbors actually asked me for the paving that was recently done on Parmalee and the sidewalks and aprons that the residents are going to be responsible for. What's the repayment schedule, method, what have you? And the comment onto that is that I kind of listen to these regularly, and I actually wasn't able to answer them right off the top of my head. And I don't think it was communicated to the residents well. So if we could just get that information, but also just a note in the future. I mean, we didn't even know it was going to happen until I think 3 days ahead of time. I think I actually asked you guys about that at a previous meeting. And I know that necessarily wasn't your fault. Part of it was the contractor, but just maybe some better communication with the contractor and a little bit more, you know, communication with us when stuff like that's going to happen. So that's my first question. If you want to answer that, and then I'll ask my second one.
Sure. Generally, Eric, you want to answer it?
Well, I mean, people get notice of the project as the ordinance is being developed, so they know that it's going to happen. A letter goes out that explains the payment schedule, a copy of the ordinance. People will have 5 years to repay from the time the project is complete. Everything is certified, and that's usually a year or two after the work is done. So then they will have they can pay over 5 years starting at that point, or to avoid any interest, they can pay it lump sum. Somebody that has just 1 or 2 squares will usually pay it up front. People that have most of their property, the frontage of their property done, some of those people will take the time payments because it can be a chunk of change otherwise.
So I have to say, I'm very good about my email correspondence and stuff and all that legalese. I know I didn't receive that at all. So
it goes out certified mail. We can have the clerk look into what happened in that particular case.
The notices went out in March.
Okay.
Yeah, they went in March. I'm sorry, it's Lori Clerk, if I could just expand on it. They went out in March. They go regular mail and certified mail. And it does explain, I think, pretty clearly what's, you're part of the road program, what that means, how to calculate what your markings mean, how to calculate an estimate of what the pricing might be, and it explains when and how the billing takes place, which is, as both Frank and Eric stated, a couple years after the project's closed out and what have you. But I can certainly check and see.
I'm not as worried about would I be able to tell my neighbor that he could reach out to you to get a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Okay, because he was a little bit worried about that. And then,
Yeah.
but the actual commencement, the starting of all of it, I mean, we didn't know. Like, everybody in Parmalee, we were just really surprised it happened, 3 days ahead of time and everything. So again, I know that when I asked you before, the contractor hadn't been giving you updates, but there has to be some way to get them to actually communicate to you and give us more than 3 days notice.
Fair enough. I mean, normally they'll put a little sticker on your door and says, "Oh, by the way, we're going to be doing this," so that you have plenty of time to have your cars out of the way. But
It was
if that didn't
3 days. It was 3 days before it happened.
Yeah, it should be a little bit sooner, longer than that. I agree with you. If it happened that way, that I'd say we should be given at least a week's notice before that. But
I'll let Steve weigh in on this, but the further in advance you tell people, the less certain you can be as to when the work will actually occur because of weather, because a crew can get behind, and then and people complain they get a notice 2 weeks ahead that we're going to be starting in a week, and then it doesn't start for almost 2 weeks, and they're not parking in front of their house. We get complaints about that
Sure.
as well. It's very hard to walk that tightrope and get it enough time so that you can move your cars, but not so much time that you're inconvenienced for a period of time before the start actually occurs.
Completely understood. And not to be argumentative with you at all, Eric, but I do remember that when I called in and asked about this last time, because we had seen the markings and the people on my street were asking, you said specifically at that time that you hadn't been receiving communication from the contractor, and you were also, there was some lack of clarity there, and you expressed that. So I mean,
Absolutely.
if we as a borough are upset that we're not getting communication from our contractor, we should do something about that.
I just like it. I don't understand the issue, to be perfectly honest with you, Kim. As Eric said, our experience is if you tell people a week out and the contractor doesn't show up for a week, they forget about it or they're annoyed that it took so long. The only thing that we're telling residents to be aware of is that in 3 days, you have to make sure you move your car. That's what this is all about, and the construction will begin. The immediacy of the notice is actually more efficient and it works better because we do this in 40 different towns. People don't want to be told 2 weeks before because then it rains and they say, "What happened?" You tell them when you're sure when it's going to be, and that gives them enough time to move their car out of the driveway.
Well, I guess then your experience and the street that I am on were just a little bit different because all of my neighbors were all wondering what was going on, and we were frustrated when we were seeing markings for about a month ahead of time and didn't know we would have liked to know. So I mean,
all,
I'm not gonna, again, I'm not being argumentative. And again,
but you got a letter that said what the markings indicated. The letter was sent certified and regular mail. In that letter, it gave you a phone number to contact if you wanted an engineer to visit you on site. And our engineer did on your street, the street to which you refer, visit many residents.
They gave us a quote. Well, I'm not sure if it's your engineer, but gave us a quote on additional work too. But that was on the day when it was happening.
No. Well, I don't want to argue with you, but your facts just don't align with what occurred. The people were given ample notice during the whole process of passing the ordinance. They were told this was going to happen. They were given the opportunity to have someone meet them on site because some people don't want to do their own concrete work. Some people think their sidewalks don't need to be done. And some people think they can do it cheaply. And the only way you can do it cheaper by yourself is if you happen to be a mason. because there's nobody you can hire that'll give you a better price than you're going to get as a,
Look, you
as
know
a
what?
joint
Then,
price
then
with the
we
borough.
can agree to disagree, and I will tell my neighbor who asked the question how to reach out and get the quote because he was concerned and find out how he's going to repay. And then perhaps I misremembered what Eric had expressed in the last meeting when I asked about it, and he wasn't actually frustrated. I'm fine. It's not a point. It's good. There doesn't need to be 10 more minutes of argument that takes up time for everybody else.
At a time, we definitely were not given good information of when they were going to start. But once we knew when they were going to start, then then the notice went out, and it goes out close to the time the work is starting for the reasons that Steve and I both explained.
But you do have lots of time before they have to pay, Kim. So just convey that to your neighbor.
I will absolutely, and I'll let him know how to get that information from you guys.
It basically takes 2 years before they even give you an amount of what you owe, and then 5 years to spread it out.
Perfect.
Anyone else wish to be heard?
That was
did you have another one?
actually, I had a second question, yes. So
Sure,
I was actually looking at the borough website for different stuff, trying to figure something out. And I came across the Economic Development Committee page portion of it. It hasn't been updated in a really long time. It would be really handy to have that information there, just so, all of us that don't, have that information at hand can see what's going on.
Frankly, they haven't met since March when the COVID started. We'll
Oh, but
probably
no, we're
look-
talking, it hasn't been up, the last notes I see are from 2017.
Okay, because we haven't had a meeting in 6 months, 7 months. But
Yeah,
we will check on the
it's much-
updating of the website.
Yeah. That would be really handy because it's not just since COVID. I would understand that it's years.
Their notes should be updated.
Thank you.
Greg, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Council President. Craig Cayetano, 59 Pasadena Place. Couple things. Number one, I know we're still working on fixing what's going on with the Optimum channel, but you do always put out to go to the YouTube page. The YouTube page, the last meeting is from 9/16. They have not updated and shown the updated council meeting since 9/16. And there's an easy way to link that page to the borough Facebook page. You can share it regularly. There's right now, it looked like 32 subscribers, and I think I'm 2 of them. So I'm hoping that we can, alleviate some of these issues and get that resolved. I mean, these meetings they're being recorded. They could be uploaded to Facebook and to YouTube instantly.
It'll be
Where are we
updated
at with?
tomorrow. It'll be updated tomorrow along with this meeting. That was brought up today as well, because I checked today. I said, oops, we didn't upload last meeting. So tomorrow, both meetings will be uploaded
And Craig,
Thank
that's
you.
what our new equipment is going to be able to do for us.
automatically. And we should be
Correct.
able to live
Oh,
stream as well.
And it'll also go
That's
on
right.
our own Facebook page also.
That's all right. That's great. Thank you. Lori, is there any way we can get the information and maybe even shared out on the borough page daily on the ballots? We worked hard to advocate to get our ballot box and, get out there. I know that there's a couple PSAs out there and everybody's showing how they're utilizing it on Facebook and stuff. Can we get the stats? I know that they do record what's coming in daily via the boxes in each town and by mail. I think it'd be great to show everybody that this is a secure way to turn in your ballot and get people to vote. I mean, this is what it comes down to. We want everybody to vote, and you have ample time now. You have almost an extra month to vote. So I would love to see this in the letter. I would love to see it on the Hawthorne page on Facebook. Is there any way we can communicate those stats daily?
Daily, I don't know about daily, to be honest with you. I got a report tonight at 7 p.m. from the County Board of Elections office, but it was the complete report for the county, Passaic County, so I have to extract Hawthorne out of it. It is public information. I'm not sure exactly on what website that it's on. I nixle out updates to where's my ballot. I get it posted on our Facebook. I get it posted on the Hawthorne community page. I and my office, my deputy and the mayor's assistant have answered over probably 100 to 200 calls since Monday. I stay I was answering calls at 10:30 at night, Monday. Any person calling me or us asking where their ballot is, we have explained comprehensively to them how to obtain it now. So I typed it up and I have nixled it out. I also ask every person I talk to, are you familiar with Nixle? Are you familiar with our Facebook? Are you familiar with our website? Sadly, we don't have a local newspaper, but that only published once a week. So, you know, the communication now is all digital. I'm impressed how many people from young to elderly, 80, 85 years old, that have email and use it and use our website for this information. I am supplying links to the county clerk's website. Hers is completely comprehensive. She has her own little PSAs, how to fill it out, where to drop it off. We see people all day come to Borough Hall and drop it in the secure ballot drop box. I personally think that is the best place to leave it. That's my opinion. As resident asks me if I think it's safe, I think it's 100% safe, but that's my opinion. So on top of my daily work, for me to do it daily, I'm going to be really honest with you, or somebody else in our office, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. I'll find a link for you or people to go if they want to watch it. They can track their own ballot. I'll be happy to provide links to where that information is, but I'm just being honest. Daily, that would be tough to
The
ask.
county already has a link to go track your
The
own
county
ballot
has
after
it
you
all on their
submit it.
website.
Yeah, it's not about that. And you've done a lot of work this week. I know Rain has helped. You've helped to try to get these people their ballots. It's about the hard numbers. We need to
Okay,
know.
yeah, they're out there. Well, they're out there. It is public information. They are out there on, I'll tell you right now, the website. I'll nixle out the website if that works for you, Craig.
No, I'm just saying because there's a lot of people that were having all this back and forth and everything else. It would be nice to see the percentage of what's getting returned by mail, what's getting returned by the box. That's all.
No, I completely agree with you. I'll find out where that information is so people can help themselves daily if they want to look at it daily, if that works for you.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, you got it.
One last thing I want to bring up and kind of circle back to is the thing with the Blue Lives, Black Lives, Black Lives, Blue Lives. So yeah, it was on a Saturday evening. I know that Melissa and I and Abresha had mentioned it in advance. I know Kevin was going to circle back with you, Mayor, and talk to you about it and try to see if we can either get a screening here or have it shared through us and have the chief and have you and have council on. Even though it's a Saturday, I'm sorry. I think it should have been communicated on the Facebook page. We're sitting here trying to tout and people are saying, hey, we're working on our media. We're working on trying to get our Facebook out here. But it's an event that was going on. There's no reason why it couldn't have been shared on a Facebook page to the whole town to allow the town to decide if they wanted to watch it or not. And honestly, yeah, the council should be there. The mayor should be there. I know you might have a conflict and I get it. Let's try to get a second viewing, a second screening. Let's make it up and let's do it right next time. Let's put an event out formally on the Facebook page and let the town decide if they want to zoom in. It's a totally Zoom thing. I think it was an hour, hour and a half max. And there's a Q&A if you want to participate. If not, you go in, you sit through the 2 segments and you log off. You don't have to participate and do Q&A. But it was a very good way to see both sides of the coin going on this issue. And I think that we dropped the ball, and it might have been maybe I don't know the communique between you and Kevin, what happened. But I mean, if there's anything that we can straighten it out and have it do again, this troupe that's doing it is really nice. They've had a lot of people inquire about it, and they're willing to do other performances. I think we should plan something and put it out there. Let them decide.
Craig, I resent you saying we dropped the ball, Craig, because everybody's got a different approach on things they can make or do, and different things that they have in their lives. You chose to do it, and that's great. But if other people had other things going on, don't sit there and say we dropped the ball on something, because that's just insulting.
It really is, because I have to say honestly that this is the public portion. We have rules set up, Council President. This is why
This is not an actionable item.
But I got to tell you, honestly, this is why we have a 5-minute rule that we voted on, and that it's not a town hall meeting that we're going to go back and forth. I really ask that we regulate, that we go back to our 5-minute public session so that we could have, and then if Mr. Catano has questions later for each of us and what we have planned in our daily lives, and I'd be more than happy to answer them, but I don't think this is the proper place for that.
Well,
My point was to make it public knowledge. That was my whole point. I believe that
there's 5 different community websites on or 5 different community Facebook sites that things are posted on, and if you want to get something known in town, there's plenty of opportunity to be posting things. So I don't disagree with Councilman Witecki. I feel like you're lecturing us on what we should or shouldn't be doing.
Frank, that's not true. You know, those pages are mined by people that have agendas on either side. I think
that's not true. That's not true. The one that Joe's wife is involved posts pretty much anything and everything as far as public announcements.
They refused, from what I was told, and they would not post it. They were not posting it, allowing it to be posted on their page.
Well, I don't know about that.
Appealing to the town.
I think Miss Almetti was very polite. She said she would send us information on when the next ones were. And her approach was totally refreshing and said, please try and make the next one. And we all said we would. She wasn't insulting and saying we dropped the ball. So I'm giving you my opinion on how I'm interpreting what you're saying. So that's the end of the story. If you have a question, ask it. If not, I think that's the end of your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Make a motion, we close the public portion.
Motion
Second.
by Lane, second by Mealy. Roll call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Lane, second by Witecki. I gave you one, Joe.
I said it.
Oh, did you? I didn't see your box light up. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next, we are adjourned, but the next regular meeting is November 4th at 7 p.m. Don't forget to vote. Choose the character that you think should be elected. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Night.